Hi, fourthies. Go ahead and take your language books out to page 75. Page 75, we're going to review again the importance of verbs and how there needs to be a subject-verb agreement, and I'll go over that in a moment. But you're on page 75, and we're going to look at the green remember box. So the first bullet says use am, is, was, does, and has with a singular subject. That means a singular subject means one thing or person. So if you want to remember this better, think of me, Miss Severa. She is single, so there's only one, all right? Singular subject. Use are, were, do, and have with a plural subject, plural meaning more than one. And that could include using collective plural pronouns. So we've got like we, they, us. You can use those as plural subjects. And then the third point says use had with both singular and plural subjects. The verb part of a contraction must agree with the subject. So let's take a look at this first example where it says Grace has a new bike. There's only one person, and that's Grace, so that means her verb needs to have an S in it, and it does. So it has a nice balance of things. Okay, second sentence, second example. Her new bike hasn't been ridden. So here it's talking about one bike, and that means the verb has to have an S in it, just as a balance of things, okay? And it does. So let's use this information for thing A. It says not only do we have to underline the subject, we have to also complete the sentence by writing in either has or have. We don't need to write hasn't or haven't. We're going to use either has or have. So the best way to do this is to read them out loud with both choices just to hear what sounds right as well. Okay, so number one, has you ever heard the Hawaiian monk seal? Or have you ever heard of the Hawaiian monk seal? What sounded better? Have. Have you ever heard of the Hawaiian monk seal? Now, we have to underline the subject. We are not talking about the Hawaiian monk seal because who's doing most of the hearing? We are, you. Have you? I'm talking about you. Have you heard of the Hawaiian monk seal? So, you needs to be underlined one time, okay? This animal has or have been the state mammal of Hawaii since 2008. This animal, I hope you heard it, has been the state mammal of Hawaii since 2008. Now here, what's the subject? What am I talking about? I'm talking about the animal. So I underline that twice. Oh, sorry, one time, because that's the subject. A monk seal has dark fur on its back and a light-colored belly, or a monk seal have dark fur on its back. A monk seal has dark fur on its back and a light-colored belly. So what are we talking about here? What's the subject? The seal. I guess you can do monk seal as well. Some Hawaiian names has been given to this lovable seal. Some Hawaiian names have been given to this lovable seal. So it sounded right with both, but I'm going to tell you it's actually supposed to be have. And let me tell you why. The subject, what are we talking about here? We're talking about names. And notice how names is a plural subject. Notice how it has an S at the end. So that means my verb doesn't need to have an S in it. That's why I'm not going to use has, I'm going to use have. Recently, scientists have seen several baby seals near the Hawaiian Islands, or recently scientists have seen several baby seals near the Hawaiian Islands. Again, in this instance, it sounds correct for either has or have, but the correct answer is have. And you want to see why again? What are we talking about here? Who are we talking about? Who's seen several baby seals? Who's seen them? The scientists. Now notice scientists end with an S because it's plural. This is a plural subject. So that means our verb, this part here, should not have an S for the balance of things. So it's have, not has. Think B. This time we're going to use either hasn't or haven't. So, and we're going to underline the subject one time again. Hasn't groundhogs become known for digging deep, complex burrows? Or haven't groundhogs become known for digging deep, complex burrows? Hmm. I believe we are looking at, well, we're looking at groundhogs, okay? That's the subject. We know that. But look at the word groundhogs, it's plural. So that means my verb should not have an S. So I put haven't. Haven't groundhogs become known for digging deep, complex burrows? I haven't or I hasn't seen a Gila monster in real life. You know, here, we're not going to use hasn't. I hasn't seen, ever seen. That doesn't make sense. I haven't seen. I is one of those exceptions where you can use haven't or have. Number 3, hasn't the bald eagle been the symbol of the United States for many years? Or haven't the bald eagle been the symbol of the United States for many years? Again, when you say it out loud, you can hear what makes more sense. And we're going to use hasn't because we're talking about just one bald eagle. There's no S at the end, so it's singular. That means my verb can have an S in it. Hasn't. All right. Ooh, double negatives. Do not use more than one negative in a sentence. Here's a double negative. I haven't no money for the basketball game. Notice how they highlighted the NT because that's not. You're saying I have not no money. And that doesn't make sense. It sounds funny. So some people do talk like this where they have a double negative, and that's not proper English. So the correct way to say is, I haven't any money for the basketball game, or you can say, I have no money for the basketball game. Okay, so these words are negative, and we can use them, okay, but we can't use them, we can't use another negative with it. So here's an example. I can say, oh, I haven't, no, yeah, some people say this, I haven't seen nothing. I haven't seen nothing. Huh. All right, nothing, all right, is a negative, and then haven't is also negative. So you can't say that. It's not proper English. Like I said, a lot of people speak like this, and it's not the proper way to speak. So I'm going to use proofreader marks to correct double negatives. Jessica hasn't packed nothing for the trip. Okay, so here, I can see how this may sound normal, or sound normal. Jessica hasn't packed nothing for the trip. I can say either Jessica has packed nothing for the trip, okay? Or I can say Jessica hasn't packed for the trip. So you can choose. You can choose to take away the N apostrophe T, or you can choose to take away the nothing part. So it's either Jessica hasn't packed for the trip, or it's Jessica has packed nothing for the trip. It's the same idea, all right? Number 2, Isaac isn't hardly awake enough to brush his teeth. Hardly is one on the list of negative words, so I can say Isaac isn't awake enough to brush his teeth, or I can say Isaac is hardly awake enough to brush his teeth. So you can delete one of those. It's up to you. Cal said, I am full. I don't want no more potatoes. Oh, I've heard this. I don't want no more. I've heard that. So here, I can either say, I do want no more, but I think it would make more sense if we say, I don't want more potatoes. Okay, so Cal said, I am full. I don't want more potatoes. All right. Now, again, if you have any questions, please bring them up to our meeting. And here's a lovely picture of a monk seal. And now I'm going to write out the, what's it called? The Christmas riddle, all right? So here's the Christmas riddle. What do elves learn at school? What do elves learn at school? And if you watch the math video, oh, I might have dropped a hint about the riddle and what elves learn at school. All right, fourthies? So make sure you do the work, and I'll see you at our meeting.